That was my 2 weeks, and I guess we'll just start right off then. Starting off, I guess, with Dark. What do you have for us?
I have another very, very enjoyable series and kind of an interesting one, considering this season. I mean, granted, this wasn't one of the ones we shit on, but spoiler alert for ahead of the time, for like ahead of now.
Fire didn't like it though. I remember him like,
There
"Oh, I'm
are
not gonna cover
some,
this."
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with
there's some
I
interesting
was
stuff going
initially
on here this season,
Yes, Fire. What's wrong
yeah.
with you?
especially in the
I wasn't impressed
isekai
with the
realm.
initial flow and premise.
Well, yeah, I
But
mean,
then
the
again,
premise kind of sucks, but
I also read the initial so I think I read the first uh, four 10 plus chapters of the light novel or web novel or whichever one it was. Um, I wasn't impressed by it. That's why.
well, you're
Remember,
wrong. So
Fire just hates Mappa.
Yeah, you spoiled it. What series are you gonna cover, Dark?
that's
Chainsaw
true.
Man,
So
dude.
I am covering Tondemo Skill de Isekai Horomeshi, which campfire
Yes,
cooking in
campfire
another
cooking
world
in
with my
another world.
absurd skill.
Light novel
So
original.
yeah, there's a light novel original being done by Mappa. It is adventure comedy fantasy gourmet series. This is an isekai
Gourmet.
series.
I like how
Yeah,
Japan
it's
is
a
so
gourmet series.
hyper focused. It's so hyper focused on just having these Japanese cuisine, or not even Japanese cuisine, but moments where the Japanese dude or will just make some meal like miso or white rice or fried rice, heaven forbid, in an isekai,
Dude,
and
pork
everybody just
tonkatsu,
loses their mind.
that's
Yeah, or
insane.
wait till you see this guy make soap.
Spire, have you heard of a series called Toriko?
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Or have you
Yeah.
heard of a series called Cooking Master Boy? Or Cooking Papa?
Or
or
you mean
Cooking
Food Wars,
Mama?
I think. Cooking
Shok-
Mama is
Or you mean Shokugeki? Yeah, I guess.
yeah. Anyways, Dark. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, so this is a series about our main character, Mukoto Tsuyoshi, who's a 27-year-old, I believe, office worker, is transported into a fantasy world to rescue a kingdom from a mysterious threat. The only problem is that Tsuyoshi's only skill is cooking. He has like maxed out. He's very good at cooking, but his special skill is he just has an online supermarket that he can just order stuff from, and the box instantly appears. He does have to purchase the food though, but it is like normalized pricing. So like,
What does that mean?
as an example, if you want to buy like what would you call it? Something like salt, right? Like you just want table salt. We could go out, we could buy that shit for like 80 cents or something, right? Like it's nothing. But it still only costs him what the equivalent of like 80 cents would be in that world. It costs him like copper, like 2 copper coins.
Oh,
but
no.
then he can flip it for like gold because people are like, "Oh my god, where did you get such pure salt?"
Okay, I see. Okay.
So all of his
Forgot about that
prices
part.
are normalized as like, Japan like pricing.
Welcome to the standard
but with
isekai
that
where
currency.
spices are always expensive. And
Well,
their
yeah,
food
because
sucks.
it's like medieval.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this turns into, so he gets summoned in the normal isekai way with a bunch of other people who have like crazy skills. His skill is just that no one, he doesn't use it in front of them either, in front of the king and stuff.
Of course not. You
Because he
don't
couldn't
want
even figure out how to use it. And then later on,
Okay.
he figures out how great it is, but he already like leaves the team and everything. He gets let go from the king because the king's just like, yeah, I guess just like go live your life because you fucking aren't going to be able to help these people beat the demon lord. Like that's not happening. And so basically he wants to get away and learn more about the world and sort of like stay undercover to make sure that no one knows he's from another world, and also that he has skills like storage box, which apparently people are born with, which lets you just have a invisible like interdimensional essentially storage container, like as if it was a game. But some people in that world are just born with that. So it's one of those isekai worlds too, where it's very gamified even for the people there, and that's just like their natural existence. But his is like almost bottomless. Like his is massive compared to anyone else's.
Right.
And so yeah, so he tries to keep that under wraps, and in doing so, he joins a group of adventurers and winds up providing them food to get to the next town. While he's doing that one night, I forget what his specific like classification is. I think he's just a legendary beast. Fenrir winds up smelling his cooking and
Yeah,
approaching
the
him.
wolf. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so the large wolf, and he offers to become his familiar if he keeps feeding him. And
Yes.
that's kind of like how they sort of group up with each other. And it kind of goes from there where it's very much focused on the dynamic of those two. What I know, there are some other more major characters showing up, but they haven't yet, which is a goddess, the goddess of wind, who I think like gave Fenrir his powers, if I'm not mistaken, his like affinity for magic. So she's apparently showing up, I think, next episode, and like her shtick is going to be that she has a massive sweet tooth. There's a slime that still has to show up.
Most of the formatting in this series is similar to how the initial relationship between Fenrir and Mukoda Tsuyoshi, right? Developed, right? Where it's, oh, I am super powerful, and later on they will help him in various arcs related to isekai stuff, but they're all surrounding him, uh, quote unquote, incidentally, because of his fantabulous cooking. So now he has the power of Fenrir. He has the power of the goddess of wind. I believe you said he has the power of the slime, and
Yeah,
he's sort of not unknowingly, but he's sort of quote unquote accidentally borrowing their powers when problems along the way arise that are not related to cooking. That's sort of what's happening in this
yeah,
series for the
right.
most
Like
part.
with Fenrir, like he's essentially has an infinite revenue now, even without flipping like his ingredients. Like he doesn't even have to
Right.
do that again because Fenrir can just go kill a bunch of monsters and he can sell it for a massive amount of money whenever they need food again.
Mhm.
As far as the slime and the goddess, they haven't shown up yet, so I'm not super sure how their dynamic is going to really work. I'm assuming the slime is going to be the shtick of it's even more bottomless of like stomach than Fenrir,
Well,
because it
my
literally
guess
just
is
dissolves
also,
things.
Do you want
yeah,
the answer to that or
And I'm
no?
assuming the slime is going to do stuff like maybe like processing and like magic
it's
stuff
gonna
or something like
evolve.
that.
It's probably gonna evolve. My guess from the Isekai I've read, it's gonna evolve, right? Because that's usually what they have the slime for. It's a lot of times, and there's that one Toast. You know that one Isekai with the beast tamer, but then he tames a unicorn girl, or girl, a unicorn, a dragon, and a slime,
Uh,
right? And they all turn into girls later. You know that one, right?
slime?
I forget. A slime, a unicorn, and a dragon, right? I think they're
Was it I don't
you.
remember unicorn.
It was like the unicorn had like an electric power or something like that, like a thunder power or something like that. But either way, so
Oh,
in that
Or like a
series,
Kieran
the slime,
or like a Quillen
yeah,
type thing.
yeah, yeah. One of like the four mythical beasts, kind of like that stuff.
I know of a four mythical beast one, but it wasn't a unicorn. It was
No,
a
no, no. That's different.
it was a phoenix, a
But
dragon, and some other stuff. A
yeah,
kelpie, yeah.
yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
So
Ultimately,
in
I mean, if you want to Go, you can keep going.
Sorry, I was just saying
Well,
that
because
in that story, the slime sort of turned out to be started out as the weakest one, and then like evolved over time to gain all
oh
these
yeah, I
powers,
mean,
and that was part of
there's
this
no
like
doubt,
universe.
though. I don't think it's going to turn into anything other than the slime, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. At least from what
the
I've
slime
seen,
is
it
gonna
does
still,
stay as a
yeah.
slime. But
The
yeah,
slime's
it
either gonna
does in the
serve as like a
intro.
comedic shtick or evolve. Yeah.
Yeah, it does in the intro have like it shoots like a hailstorm of like bullets at monsters or something.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so far the world building has been pretty fun. Um, and I do think it is fun to have it does have a fun balance between isekai the isekai like world building, the isekai sort of Tsuyoshi trying to like find his place in the world, and
Mhm.
then also pair that up with, you know, like what's tonight's dish, like what's today's dish that we're cooking. And so far I think that's been pretty cool. I think it's been pretty fun the way they tie it into the story. There's one episode where he winds up finding out that they cook and eat orcs in that world, which is really interesting, where he was like, you know, he was like, okay, like really hesitant, like, you guys like eat these things? It's like they walk on two
Right, right.
legs. It's like yeah, but they're like pigmen. Like whatever, just eat them.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, there's been some stuff like that. Um, his
That is honestly
interactions
more
between
common, I think, in
yeah,
isekais, because usually isekais are just they have orcs straight up as enemies, or even if they're just mindless or semi-mindless beasts, they have them as pretty much inedible. So it is actually relatively uncommon.
yeah. So they have that. The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting with the world building is he's describing to um, which I'll refer to him as the name he gives him, which is Fell. He's talking to Fell about how, you know, where he comes from. You know, he was like, "Are there no like cows here? There's no like domesticated animals. Like, what's going on?" And Fell's like, "No. Like, why would we domesticate animals like to eat their meat? We can just go out and kill monsters. Like, there's no." He's like, "There's no like shortage of monsters to hunt. Like, we just hunt those and eat them." So I thought that
Right.
that was like kind of a pretty interesting aspect to it too, where it's like, yeah, not only is he prepping these meals uh from these monsters, but this is just how it also functions in the world too.
Right.
The other thing is, you know, it does the classic isekai cooking thing where they can get their hands on certain types of food, where it's like, well, I guess sort of this is a little bit different, where since he's able to order, you know, Japanese like or just like other world foods from his
Mhm.
online supermarket, he's able to order things like melon pan and stuff like that, like stuffed
Melon bread.
breads,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
desserts, stuff like that. And all of those, and I believe it's like that, pre-done sauces and meats from that wind up actually buffing people, like giving them like a
Oh,
debuff,
that's
like a buff
classic.
that's like
Yeah, that's
other
classic.
world, yeah, like other
Yeah,
world
yeah, yeah.
stat boosts.
Like super.
So it was like
Yeah,
one
yeah,
time
yeah.
like he fed Fell,
That happens.
what was it, the A5 like black wagyu, like the top, like the best one, and it doubled his already insanely high stats, and to the point where he was like glowing with magic. And so there's
So
fun stuff like that. The interactions between the two, I will say, are very, very fun. Where, you know, bounces between sort of like the mentor and more like rambunctious friend character, and bounces between
mm,
like that and or I should say like bodyguard like type, and almost like strong noble-ish type thing at certain points. Um, and bounces between that and sort of like talking dog, especially when the food
you mean
aspect
like
that comes into
comedically?
play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are a lot of comedic shots with him as well. So if you're a
Yeah.
dog person, this series also very good.
So there's a lot of balls that this story is trying to juggle, and I usually bring that term up when I'm, when the story is talking about, it has to do the isekai world building in addition to sort of the action slash problems that will oftentimes happen in isekais, such as battles or kingdom related drama. Oh, the princess needs to be saved in XYZ castles or whatever it is, right? You have that, and then you have the interactions between the characters, between the Japanese MC and the isekai characters, and they have their own little time, talking with each other, as well as the comedic bits in that. And then you also have Mukoda, the MC, exploring his own mechanics, which is honestly part of the value of an isekai. Because remember, part of the core sort of spiritual concept of an isekai, although people don't necessarily mention this, and that's why we sometimes call just high fantasy, power fantasies, isekais, because they sort of follow that spirit, is that they're power fantasy, right? So part of the value of reading a series that is a power fantasy is seeing the main character mess with his powers. And on top of that, they also have to show the scenes where he kind of feeds the Japanese food or cooks the Japanese food and then feeds them and have all that sort of processing. So what is sort of the proportion of all of those things? How much of the isekai world building is there compared to the comedic bits, compared to the isekai action drama, compared to the sort of character and the main character doing his cooking and showing off Japanese cuisine or world cuisine or Earth cuisine stuff? So how's that proportioned
So
out in the anime?
that is kind of difficult to say in a way.
Okay.
Just because there is a lot that it does juggle it in a sense that there aren't as many defined cuts, I feel, where there are multiple dishes per episode, there are multiple things that go into it. But I do think it juggles it the way it does juggle it, the way it does balance it is done very, very well. Where
Hmm.
I forget exactly why I think it was just because he had it in his storage still. But when like I said, when he bought the table salt, when he went to flip it, that was from, you get to that point where he's flipping the salt and you learn that, oh, this is like something that I can do if I'm in like a really bad spot. Like I do always have this opportunity.
Hmm.
You learn that because he's using the salt from the prior dish. So
Ah, okay, okay.
it weaves a lot of that in between everything. There was when he goes to learn magic, he starts learning magic and he has this sort of like his first battle with Fenrir leaving him to handle it. The reason why was because when Fenrir had left prior, he had put like a barrier over him to go hunt for their meat to make their meals. And
Hmm.
then Tsuyoshi was saying, oh, is it possible for me to do that? Like, am I able to also use magic? And Bella was like, well, like, yeah, of course. Like you're in this world, whether you're from another world or not, shouldn't be relevant. Everyone can use it. And sure enough, he's able to. He's just currently shit at it, so he has to
Hmm.
literally like grind up using basic fireball as like his skill. Um,
Ah,
and
okay,
so
okay.
it weaves a lot of the scenarios that they run into during cooking, during meals, to introduce
Back
those
back
other
into the
isekai.
application in non-cooking places, you mean?
Yeah, it was similar with how when he learns that they eat orcs because
Yes.
Bell goes
Okay.
out, hunts a ton of stuff, has a bunch of orcs, brings them back, and he's like,
Right, right,
"Can
right.
you eat these things?" And he tells him yes, and then eventually they go to the Adventurers Guild to have them like processed, like broken down to their meat, their hides, and to sell all the parts.
Mhm.
And the guy was like, "Yeah, of course we eat those. They're delicious. They're a delicacy." Like, what do you mean? And they get into a different sort of like conversation about some of the other aspects of the world. It was similar when he first gets his powers too, where he's traveling and trying to obscure sort of the abilities he has, where um, he uses his item box and he actively has to lie to other people because they're like, wait, you have item box? Like, wow, that's really rare. You must be really lucky. And he's storing things in it, and they're like, oh, well, we don't want to impose on you and use too much of your item box space, man. And he has to lie and say, oh, yeah, no, it's almost full, but it's fine. When he has
Right,
essentially
right,
like a bottomless fucking item box because he's an isekai like hero, and he doesn't want anyone to know that. So he
right,
does
right.
sort of dance around a lot of answers to not like screw himself in the sense of to not reveal, to not like show too much of his hand and let people
Yeah,
know he's an isekai like hero without him having the knowledge of what that actually entails in
yeah.
full.
Which I also do think is a uh, uh, an interesting part of an interesting part of some of these isekai series, or an interesting, more I guess standardized part of some of these isekai series, where part of the interaction now becomes, I have this cheat skill. Now, how do I sort of hide it? Right. And that, again, that banter, it's like, oops, oh, wait, I'm not supposed to say I have infinite strength. That sort of thing becomes part of the banter that adds value to the Isekai series, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think about
Um,
the. What'd you think about the audio visuals? Again, Mappa series, it
they're
got a lot of attention for
great.
that.
They're really, really good.
I just
There
want
are
to say,
some
by the way,
there's some
the
food stuff
animation
that's like,
director, the animation director and the character design, the anime character design, not the original like light novel character design, but the anime related character design person, Otsunao, and art director Akaki Hisako, they are both actually related. I don't know whether they were specifically under Orange at the time or whatever they were doing, but they are actually both related to Studio Orange projects. One of them worked with, did I believe chief animation or art direction for Beastars, and the other one did background art for Land of the Lustrous, I believe. So that was that was unexpected. But I think a lot of these other people are also from maybe similar places potentially. So I think Mappa managed to scoop a lot of people who are available out of nowhere and create a pretty interesting, pretty surprisingly solid team with it, considering that it was for an isekai project that I think not many people were looking out that much for. So, kind of interesting composition there.
yeah. Yeah. So that's been really good. The audio visuals are very, very nice. The There are some like food parts where they don't make a ton of like fanfare with like some of it, certain aspects of
Mhm.
it. They do, I think, do a much higher than par job on all of it in general. There are some scenes where they do go like way above and beyond though. Like with the I want to say, I can't remember. I think it was the first episode or maybe second episode. There's like a pork scene where he's cutting a slab of pork, and you could tell, like, yeah, okay, here's all the money right here in this one slice. Um, and
Oh, you mean this
they do
scene?
a very,
I
very good
got it.
job.
I got it pulled up right here.
Let's see, is this it right here?
Yeah, that's it.
He oils the
Like
pan,
15 seconds
slices
in.
up. All right, yeah. Yep. I didn't realize this was this long. Yeah. This scene, so yeah, the pork cutting scene is kind of insane. And they do a little bit more of that with him like tenderizing stuff. But what they do a lot of with certain parts of the food too is sort of the like they even take like melon pan, and when he's like ripping it apart, they make very sure that that is the best and like spongiest looking one you've ever seen.
Oh, it
Uh
kind of reminds me of this. Kind of reminds me of Kofuku Graffiti. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You have wait. You saw
Yeah,
that
yeah, I've seen
with me,
scenes
right?
from it. I
Yeah.
haven't watched all of it, but I've seen what you're talking
Yeah.
about,
Did
and
you
it's
watch it?
like,
Because it was Shaft, right? Because I remember
Yeah,
we
I
definitely had us
watch.
talking about the series just because there was so many chefs spoiling the pot, right? I believe that was the
Yeah,
analogy that I used. But the scenes in there were just
yeah.
like
I
chef's
mean,
kiss levels.
they were ridiculous, but yeah, that show sucked.
Which Spire, don't you
Yeah,
mean
that show was story wise, it was dog do. But
Yeah.
wow, these scenes are good.
Spire? Don't you mean
What-
Shokugeki no Soma? I've never heard of this Kofuku graffiti cooking.
yeah, that is true. Oh yeah, yeah. These scenes look good. These scenes look solid. The funny thing is though, like the character himself doesn't look good as like the cooking. So like there's this weird contrast where it's like it's cutting back to between the character himself,
Yeah.
the animation of the character,
Yeah, it's
where
like
he's
he
just
looks super standard, like very
yeah.
fine. And then
It
they're like,
looks like
okay,
he's
but
from Dia
here's the
Media, and
real,
then
yeah, like here's the
yeah,
real
exactly.
shit. Here's
The
the
character
slam
is
of
this.
pork.
Yeah, the character is animated by Dio Media or Studio Dean or whoever, and the food is being animated by Studio Origin Chef. This is how I feel right now. It's so
Yeah.
weird. I mean, it's good. The food is good, and it's the main focus. So I don't blame them for it. But Jesus Christ. Oh, jeez. Oh, that looks good. Ah, dang it. Anyways, anything else?
Who's your favorite character?
Yeah, Fell. Easy. Easy. Easy answer. He's very funny. He's a very funny dog. And I'm trying
Did
to
you
think of
know
what
who he's
else.
voiced by?
Yeah, he's voiced by Satoshi Hino, who's also
Oh,
voicing
yeah,
fucking
nice.
what's his name? The main guy in Overlord.
Mm-hmm. He also does a lot of comedic
Or
roles as
even more
well.
popular, Kyojuro Rengoku from Demon Slayer, the greatest series ever created.
That is true. It broke every record.
Yeah.
He actually
Okay.
the funny thing is I mainly remember Satoshi Hino because he played Yamada's brother in Working, and because of that, he kept coming on these Working live shows because Wagnaria slash Working had a lot of very 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 cool live shows where like just all the A-list actors back then because they all worked on Working all came and just had a great time. And I like, although he did do Overlord, I always think of him as a comedic voice actor because of these sorts of roles. So it's good to see that he also, managed to fulfill that in this series as well. So, anyways,
Yeah.
okay.
Is that what you call his most popular role, Spire?
Yeah, I think his most
No,
popular
I would
role is
not call Yada's
actually
brother his most popular role.
No, I mean as a
Chiage Hamazura from Index Season 3.
Ooh,
Season 2.
yes.
Okay. Level
don't you
0 and
mean
skill out member. Obviously. The
don't you
third
mean
main
what is
The
character.
it?
third protagonist. Yeah.
Is it his most popular role from is Yuji
Yuji in what?
Shakugan Shana?
No.
That's a
No.
good
First
that's
of
a good
all,
pick, but it's
you're
not.
wrong because again, his most popular role is literally Rengoku. You're fooling yourself if you think that's not his most popular role. It's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
that's the reality. Are they in Demon
Yeah, I mean,
Slayer?
he's right.
That's their most popular role.
The
Like
man is right.
objectively.
Especially since it's not like just a random side
Yeah, it's
character.
not like a random
It
side
is
character. It's
Rengoku.
fucking Rengoku. Like
What
Rengoku
about
is a very big character.
what about Rail Wars? He was in
Like he's
Rail
super
Wars.
popular.
Shut up, Toast.
Shut the fuck up, Toast. Anyways, any last words? Any last words and for the series?
Yes. It's very, very good. It's very fun. Has a lot of good comedy. Normally I'm not really like, oh yeah, I'm watching so much isekai. But this is very, very good. And also, we did not mention here during the episode that the director is also the director for Kuma Miko. And if you don't know about the drama surrounding Kuma Miko, you can go do your own little research on that. That was horrific. And so the fact that he's doing such a, now granted, I don't know the source, so I don't know exactly if the balance is already struck there. But ultimately, I think that the balance is being struck here, and overall, it's being directed very well. So
Mhm.
I guess we'll find out in the final episode.
Another thing, how do you feel about the colors in this show? Because it's pretty unique, one would say.
Again, I think that's the
Uh,
orange influence coming in, right? From the animation directors and stuff.
I mean, I think
Probably.
the colors have been pretty good. I think I kind of do enjoy that they are very, like, especially for like Fell and stuff, that his coloration is like very, very vibrant, very out there.
Mhm.
And with like a lot of the other monsters, it does start to get pretty out there too. So, I mean, I've been
I
liking them.
I can't believe they're comparing this season's like color palette to Slime Tensei.
I
Oh,
mean,
I think that's a very.
It's like Slime Tensei, but
better
with a way
animated
better
than Slime.
animation studio.
What does that mean, bro?
Does
Slime Tensei is
wait
a
Color,
completely
Slime
different series.
Tensei's
the
Slime Tensei's
color
not a
palette.
cooking series though.
No, I'm talking about the color palette of the entire series, like the way the backgrounds are super vibrant.
Do it
I guess,
do
but like,
isekai watchers like incapable of understanding that like anime has a very broad range of colors? Like I don't know.
In Isekai, there's
no,
a
you're either Overlord or
here.
you're Slime Tensei. So
Here, check
shut up.
out these sweet colors. There's two types. There's the bland muted regular colors, and then this super bright.
the the Chad campfire cookie versus the virgin. What is it, Rakudai Kishi or whatever? Is that what we're? Is this what we're
That's
heading
not an
towards?
isekai. I was gonna say like infinite dendrogram. I don't know.
Or yeah,
Isekai
I
cheat
apologize.
magician. How,
Or
how,
was the
Yeah, I
the
mean, at
mage's
this point,
grandson or
you're
whatever? Was that
literally
bad?
being like, "Hey
yeah,
guys, on one
that's
hand,
the
this show good. On the other hand, this other show not so good." That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are
Yeah.
just a bit too used to mediocre production on isekai series.
That's how you set them up. That's the future of the anime
I'm gonna
industry,
be
though.
real with you, bro. I think people are like so like fucking black pilled that it's just like, oh,
Wait a minute, why is this
this other
isekai
series that has like
like
good
this other good
backgrounds. Wait a
isekai?
minute, this is just like
Maybe,
this other
hey,
isekai.
maybe that's the tech. Okay? So this is what's gonna happen. You use that isekai tech. What you do instead is instead of making better series, you make series that are spin-offs of the main franchise for 1 or 2 years that are just like not very good. Like they're not terrible enough to create a fuss, but they're just like, oh, I could do better. Like it could use a better palette. And then you go back to your regular quality, and people will be like, what? Like, I can't believe you made another masterpiece. Is that what they're trying to do with Evangelion Beyond?
We're fucked,
Is that the
bro. We're
tech?
fucked, dude. It's so over.
how
Nier is already quitting this podcast. Nier is like, no. Like- is that the tech? Is that what you think will happen, Toast?
why is Trigun Stampede so grungy looking while the original Trigun's super bright?
Is that how the
Half
Trigon
like half
saga is
this
gonna go too?
like all the episodes of Trigun always take place during like what duskish.
Yeah,
Is that supposed to be?
because
Is
it's
that
the
supposed to
mood.
be?
It's the
Yeah,
hashtag
man.
vibe, dude.
The allegory towards a spaghetti western, and
Yeah,
then for regular Trigun, it's mostly high noon.
yeah. I mean, Trigun, the OG Trigun, also doesn't follow the source material very closely, so.
Yeah, but that's what's made it good, and his gun's cooler.
True.
That's that Badlands gun. Ugh.
But yeah. Anyways, any last words on campfire cooking, Dark?
What would you compare it to?
Slime Tensei, perhaps?
Yeah,
Damn, how'd you know?
absolutely.
Mushoku
I would
Tensei?
compare it only to Slime Tensei. But yeah, series is good. is very
Alright.
fun.
How
Good stuff.
Dark, how does it feel knowing that you took both of the good isekais this season?
Yeah, proud of yourself.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna take them every time now. You know. I don't know. Well, listen, the next one doesn't even count, dude. It barely counts as an isekai at this point.
All right. Well, anyways, thank you, Dark, for helping to cover again Campfire Cooking in Another World with my absurd skill light novel original. I believe the Japanese name again is Tonde Muskiride Isekai Horo Meshi. What's the freaking name for what's the rakusho? What's the abbreviation for this again? It's like Tonsuki. Okay, Tonsuki is the abbreviation here. It is a series anime series produced by Mappa, done under direction of the person who did Kumamiko, I believe, Matsuda Kiyoshi. But I think a lot of the animation people are also from various places, such as Studio Orange, and you'll see some of that reflected in the audiovisuals.